Hello, everyone. This is Pastor Ryan Pronzinski of Christ Lutheran Church in Michigan Center, Michigan, and this is my Chair Chat daily devotion for Wednesday, May 20, 2020. Peace be with you. These video devotionals are intended to help you engage your life of faith during this time of pandemic, and so with that in mind, I encourage you throughout the video to take time to pause, reflect, talk with those around you if you're able, journal, and do what you need to do in order to really ponder and listen and hear from God. Also, with this being a public platform, I highly encourage you to leave constructive comments, questions, or prayer requests in the comments section below this video, and I promise that I will get to those in the following videos. The readings that get selected for each day come from the Daily Revised Common Lectionary, which is a church calendar reading schedule. The readings for today are Psalm 93, and for details for that reading, which I won't be reading today, please see the video from May 18. The other two readings are Deuteronomy chapter 31, verses 1 through 13, and John 16, verses 16 through 24. If that was quick for you, the readings are always in the details below. You can look them up there. Before I get to the readings themselves, as always, I like to invite anyone who watches these videos to come and join us at Christ Lutheran Church for our Sunday morning worship service. We've been Facebook Living them on Sunday mornings at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The link to those videos is in the description below, so please come and join us. If you can't make it for the live streams, the videos are automatically recorded after the fact, and so you can come and watch them later if you would like. We would be happy to have you watch them, leave some love and support, and that would be great. And I know for this week we will be recording the service on Thursday, and so on Sunday it will be a recording, just for all of you that watch these to know that. All right, I think that's what I have for you. So we'll jump into the first reading, which comes from Deuteronomy chapter 31, verses 1 through 13, which reads as follows. When Moses had finished speaking all these words to all Israel, he said to them, I am now 120 years old. I am no longer able to get about. And the Lord has told me, quote, You shall not cross over this Jordan. The Lord your God himself will cross over before you. He will destroy these nations before you, and you shall dispossess them. Joshua also will cross over before you as the Lord promised. The Lord will do to them as he did to Sihon and Og, the kings of the Amorites, and to their land when he destroyed them. The Lord will give them over to you, and you shall deal with them in full accord with the command that I give you. Be strong and bold. Have no fear or dread of them, because it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not fail you or forsake you. Then Moses summoned Joshua and said to him, in the sight of all Israel, Be strong and courageous. Be strong and bold. For you are the one who will go with this people into the land that the Lord has sworn to their ancestors to give them. And you will put them in possession of it. It is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not fail you or forsake you. Do not fear, and do not be dismayed. Then Moses wrote down this law and gave it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord. And to all the elders of Israel Moses commanded them, every 7th year, in the scheduled year of remission, during the festival of the booths, when all Israel comes to appear before the Lord your God, at the place that he will choose, you shall read this law before all Israel in their hearing. Assemble the people, men, women, children, and all the aliens residing in your towns, so that they may hear and learn to fear the Lord your God, and to observe diligently all the words of this law, and so that their children who have not known it may hear and learn to fear the Lord your God, as long as you live in the land that you are crossing over the Jordan to possess. Here ends the reading. As I was reading this passage, I couldn't help but think to myself, we are crossing into new territory, aren't we? We are crossing into new territory. Drive-by birthday parties, virtual graduations, 6-foot circles at beaches and parks, right? Zoom concerts and drive-in raves. Yes, drive-in raves in Germany. I saw it. Crazy. In this reading, I imagine that the people in Deuteronomy, they wanted to bring their beloved Moses with them. The people wanted to be able to bring that familiar, comfortable, comforting presence with them. And yet God says directly through this old, familiar, comfortable, through this old guard, the comfortable and familiar, you old, familiar, comfortable guard, you shall not cross this Jordan. You shall not cross this Jordan. You shall not cross into this new territory which is being entered. The old, the comfortable, the familiar is not coming with you. Now, at first, this can seem frightening and even unthinkable. But God, you gave us this great gift, this old guard, this comfortable, familiar. How is it not coming with us? But as we listen to the familiar and let it go and brave this new frontier, just like the people in the story, we hear the familiar leave us with a powerful promise from God that says, although the familiar and comfortable is not crossing into this new territory with you, it is the Lord who goes before you. He, the Lord, will be with you. He will not fail or forsake you. Do not fear. Do not be dismayed. Yes, there will be many obstacles, and and there will be scary things that get in your way and fill your life full of dread. But the Lord will see you through these obstacles, just like the Lord has done before. You will be able to assemble again in meaningful ways, family, friends, and strangers together. And when you do, because you will, I encourage you to recall these words. I, your faithful, familiar companion, have shared with you, so that you may hear and learn to love the Lord your God, that brought you through your wilderness into a land that started out as foreign and frightening, but became even more familiar and even more life-giving than the one you left behind. I hope that as you were listening to those words and you were hearing the mingling of our Deuteronomy story today in our own situation, that you have benefited from this little mini retelling that I wrote. And so with certain things not crossing this Jordan that we are crossing, today I ask this. What familiar things do you miss most right now? And I encourage you to lament that and lift up that prayer of lament to God today. What familiar things do you miss most right now? On the flip side, though, just as Moses, the familiar, encourages the people today, what new thing have you discovered that brings you joy since you have had to let the old thing go? What new thing have you discovered as you have had to let the old thing go? I know I've heard on the news from people that have been interviewed that, we can't eat out as much, and so we've had to cook more. And, I've learned that I actually am pretty good at cooking. and that's brought them much joy. I know it's a simple thing, but I miss some of my favorite restaurants too. I would have been on vacation and would have been going down to New Orleans and trying Creole and things I had never had before. And I mean, I'm not cooking right now, but if that's something I had been doing, that would have been a good joy. For me, it's definitely gaming nights on Thursdays. That's been the new life that I've discovered. And I do miss going out with my friends on Wednesdays and eating out, but gaming nights on Thursdays is really great. All right, and then another question: how do you hope to be able to retell the events that we are living through right now to future generations? How do you hope to be able to retell the events that we are living through right now to future generations? I mean, I just watched a man on the news today, a 90-something-year-old man who lived through the Holocaust and then also just recovered from COVID-19. I thought to myself, what a resilient man and a story he has to tell. He's lived through genocide and pandemic. And not just in an abstract from a distant way, like, people living at home in the United States during World War II, and then now people living at home, during this pandemic and never really getting sick, because there are probably going to be people that don't ever get sick. This man faced it and confronted it head on twice. Some of the most terrifying things in human history. What a story he has to tell. And so I just wonder, how are you hoping to retell the story to the future generations that are going to be around you as we get beyond this? Because we will. And how might our experience now, as we think about how we want to retell it and live through it, how might our experience now bless these people's lives that we tell this story to, as they at some point will have to cross their own Jordans, that we won't be able to go with them. I hope one day I have grandchildren and I can speak to them about the pandemic and recession, economic recession, and maybe even depression of 2020, and how people pulled together and pulled through, and how great minds got together and came up with a vaccine, how people adapted and overcame, especially the church that's really bad at adapting and overcoming and changing, and did beautiful, wonderful things. That's what I hope to do. And then as we share those stories with them, just as the people of Deuteronomy are sharing their stories with us, that we can inspire and encourage and help people cross their Jordans as well. So how might our experience now bless the people that come after us? All right, on to John 16 to 24. A little while, and you will no longer see me, says Jesus. And again, a little while, you will see me. Then some of his disciples said to one another, what does he mean by saying to us, a little while, and you will no longer see me, and a little while, you will see me? And because I'm going to the Father? They said, what does this mean by a little while? We do not know what he is talking about. Jesus knew that they wanted to ask him, so Jesus said to them, are you discussing among yourselves what I meant when I said, a little while and you will no longer see me, and again a little while and you will see me? Very truly I tell you, you will weep and mourn, but the world will rejoice. You will have pain, but your pain will turn into joy. When a woman is in labor, she has pain, because her hour has come. But when her child is born, she no longer remembers the anguish because of the joy of having brought a human being into the world. So, you have pain now, but I will see you again. And your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you. On that day you will ask nothing of me. Very truly I tell you, if you ask of anything of the Father in my name, he will give it to you. Until now you have not asked for anything in my name. Ask and you will receive, so that your joy may be complete. Here ends the reading. As I finished reading this, I thought to myself, this reading feels like such a beautiful complement to the previous reading and how I tried to present it to you all. Jesus himself talks about losing one way of living and being and discovering a new one, right? That's what I was trying to talk about in the previous section in one way, and now Jesus does it in a different way. He uses a different metaphor or an analogy, like a mother who is used to being pregnant, right? And then has to face the pains of finishing the pregnancy and moving on to something else. You know, a mother cannot go back to being pregnant as she was before. And this is indeed scary. And no, I know I'm not a woman, but I actually have a friend right now who any day now is going to be giving birth. And I've had these conversations with her. She has become familiar and comfortable with her pregnancy, and now it's coming to its conclusion, and it's scary for her. But on the other side is motherhood. I also have a friend who just gave birth, and she said maternity leave is the best. And as soon as that mother holds their newborn child, they forget all about the pain of birthing and the loss of the expectancy and the pregnancy itself. Now all that matters is the new life that is being held in front of her. Right now, in our world of pandemic, we too, metaphorically, are pregnant. We have been gestating for months now, gestating a new way of thinking and living and being in the world of pandemic. And we have become familiar with this pregnancy of keeping everything safe and contained within. But like a pregnant mother with child, we cannot remain contained forever. Eventually, we must birth what we have been gestating, planning, and preparing for. Living in a world with pandemic. And like giving birth, there will be loss. There will be loss. Loss of the familiar, loss of comfort. And like giving birth, there will be pain, and it will be hard work. But hear what Jesus says as we push forth this new life. Quote, "Very truly I tell you, you will weep and mourn, but the world will rejoice. You will have pain, but your pain will turn into joy." Yes, we have much hard work to do, much breathing, planning, and pushing through to new life beyond pandemic. But the promise of Jesus today is that even as we may very well lose sight of God as in these dark, uncertain times where we simply have to close our eyes and grip to the grace of God and breathe and push. When we finally are able to breathe a sigh of relief and open our eyes to the new world before us, to the new before us, like a mother holding her child for the first time, we too will see new life. We too will see Jesus there. And the end result will be joy beyond the pain and the loss that we have just went through. So God bless you as you breathe and push through the pain and uncertainty of this pandemic to new life. Amen. On that, I will talk to you tomorrow.